Okay, well, we thought it would be fun to take a look behind the scenes at Infinity on how we actually get the production done. We do the production here on site, and I'm standing here with our regional operations manager, Dominic McCombs, and he's going to actually go back into the press room and then I'll explain what's going on with each one of the presses. This is one of our smaller presses. It's what's called a swing-away T-head, and it allows us to do 1 and 2 color printing. And we can do up to an 11 by 17 size with bleed allowance, so we would be able to do like a 12 by 18 sheet on this press. The arm that's sitting out is the actual T-head, which would become a makeshift 2-color press. We would swing it around and you'd have a 2-unit press that he would be running. Right now he's actually running some envelopes, and Dominic is surveying what he's going to be doing so that he's got it all set up the way that it should be. And he usually reviews the sheets as they come off the press to give it the final okay for the pressman then to continue the run. So now he's loaded up the envelopes in the feeder tray, and he's raising that to the point that he can actually start the press. Once he starts the press, the envelopes will feed through the cylinders and the blanket, and then it will transfer onto the envelope and out the other side. Now, positioning is really important on this, because if you get the paper too high, then you have feeding problems. And with envelopes, they tend to be a little bit more difficult to feed than a regular job anyway. So when he gets ready, he's getting ready right now to start the press, and what he's going to do is he's going to wipe down his blanket, and then he's going to add water to his plate. And the reason for that is so that he doesn't end up with a feeding problem. This is cleaning the blanket as he's getting ready to start up the press. And the next thing he will do is then put water on the plate. Actually, he's very thorough. He's drying off the solvent that he's used on the blanket so that he doesn't end up with a sticking problem. So now he's applying the water to the plate, and this lubricates it so that when it starts up that you don't have a friction setting that will then cause that envelope to roll right up into the rollers, which we have had happen before on more than one occasion. So now he's activated the press. The roller and the plate and the blanket are spinning together in a cylindrical motion, and he's going to then pull forward the arm so that the envelopes will begin to feed through the press. And there he goes. And once he starts doing that, then he makes his adjustments to make sure that the envelopes are feeding as they need to. As you can imagine, in this room, once we get all of this equipment going, it does tend to get rather noisy. So now that we've seen what the smaller press can do, we're going to focus on our larger press, which does all of our 4-color work. This includes Infinity Magazine and other publications that we do. The press is set up and running the sheet through where the pressman at the counter is actually checking registration as he's running the sheets. This press runs at about 10,000 sheets per hour, and it is a direct-to-plate unit. The pressman is conscientious and pulls a sheet, checking it frequently to make sure that registration has not moved. As the pressman moves from one end of the press to the other, he's checking to make sure that the paper is feeding correctly, that when he pulls the cranks on top of the unit, it's adjusting his ink coverage, and he also checks for his water coverage. Basically, the name of this game here is to get the ink and the water balanced on the sheet. And then he pulls the sheet to check the registration. So before we actually start the printing process, we have to produce a plate to hang on to the press. This is our direct-to-plate system, and what it does is these are the plates sent directly from the computer. We send them over and we're able to preview them so that we can look at them before we commit. And what we do is we check the colors, we make sure that the registration marks, the color bars, are where they need to be. And once we do that, then it can just be generated to the machine behind David, which then generates the plate for the press.